Story begins by showing a man being told by someone to not work himself to death, and if he is hurting too much then he should leave to live the life that he wants. Our protagonist, the great hero Leo Demonheart, then responds that he will. We then see Leo as he makes a journey to a distant castle that he thought he never would return to. The castle is being rebuilt as he has a memory of a battle he had there in the past. Upon entering the castle, he sees a demon queen, Echidna, and her 4 great generals. They are all shocked as he reveals his identity to them and his purpose for coming to the castle. With great enthusiasm, Leo says that he would like to interview for a position in the Demon Queen's army. He lists all his excellent qualifications as a warrior, including how he was able to defeat Echidna herself in single combat. He knows that they are in desperate need for fighters, as he was the one who decimated her entire army. Leo's speech is filled with passion, and he is confident that he nailed it. However, the Demon Queen is in disbelief at how stupid the idea is and rejects all his pleas for her to reconsider. Leo then gives us an explanation. He was told by his king to destroy the demon army after they invaded 1 year ago, and he was sent out with a party of heroes. However, Leo modestly claims that he is the greatest hero in history, and it was very evident that the others were only holding him back. He would eventually break out from the group to defeat Echidna and the demon army all by himself. We then see that he is speaking with the 4 generals, saying he is extremely powerful and Echidna has no reason not to hire him. They have mixed feelings towards him, and they reveal that they only agreed to the meeting because he begged them. In the hopes of convincing them before Echidna finds out, Leo decides to remind them of his power. He then goes into detail of his previous encounters with each general. His first opponent had been the dragon General Edvard, who had more raw strength than any of the others, but Leo was able to use his superior intelligence to defeat him. Leo wonders why Edvard doesn't just take over the world himself, as he is definitely strong enough to do so. He responds that it would be too much work and that he would rather spend more time with his daughter. Leo then turns attention to the person he fought next, the shadowless General Mernez. Mernez, a half-demon, has the skeleton assassin with unmatched speed and strength. Leo was only able to defeat him by using an AoE spell to blow him and the surrounding buildings away. He then begins to be mocked by the youngest of the generals, the beast General Lily. He explains that they met when she just appeared next to him as he stood under a tree. She had amnesia, no family, and nowhere to go. He decided to care for the child, that is until she remembered who she was and attacked Leo, only to be easily defeated. Lily's tribe believes that the person that beats you in battle is the person you're destined to be with, and in this case it's Leo. The last of the 4 he fought was the sorcerer General Shetina. Leo simply casts a spell that prevents all casting and challenged her to physical combat, but she could not defeat Leo no matter how hard she tried. They all bash Shetina for being the most easily defeated of the bunch, and she cries out to Leo asking why he wants to interview for a job with the demon army. Leo explains the events that followed his decisive victory of the Demon Queen and the generals. His return home was not one of celebration. Shock, fear, and skepticism is what he was greeted with. The people witnessed how dominant Leo had been even when facing the strongest of opponents and grew to question if the person with such immense power should be allowed to roam free. Humanity began to see him as a monster and attempted to have Leo killed by a group of assassins. He would later speak to the king, who would thank him for his services but admittedly must prioritize the concerns of his people, banishing Leo from the land. Completely alone, Leo had nowhere to go and wandered from village to village until one day he overheard 2 men talking. They spoke of how the Demon Queen had been hiring to rebuild her army. Leo would go on to prepare his speech and make the treacherous journey to her castle. Shetina can now see that Leo has realized that he protected the wrong people, and she acknowledges that he is not lying. She then offers to hire him, but only for a 1-month trial period where she will serve as his manager and evaluate his worthiness. Her final order is that he use spells or items to disguise himself so that Queen Echidna never finds out that he has been hired. After a bit of discussion about all that needs to be repaired and how it is all Leo's fault, the group congratulates him. Later that night, Leo thinks back to a moment when Echidna ordered her soldiers to invade, but to make sure they avoid killing at all costs. He desperately wants to ask why she would would compromise her army with such an order, and why she refuses to leave the human world even after defeat. The next day, Leo is eager to prove himself and heads out to begin his workday. He fails at his attempt to wake Shetina, however, so he resorts to changing his voice to sound like the Demon Queen. He lectures her for a bit until she notices and unleashes a ferocious attack. Her assault continues as Leo explains to us how most of the demon army had returned to the demon world, leaving the 4 generals to do all the work. Shetina, being the only one that actually knows how to do the tasks, was left with all the responsibility. Being the only competent worker and having the pressure of the Demon Queen wanting to rebuild immediately forced Shetina into overworking herself. Finally ready to work, the two go over all the tasks that needed to be done. From a list of several tasks, Leo picks one that requires a person to replenish mana stores in the castle's reactors. However, if anyone other than the person that created the reactor attempted to replenish the mana, it would be destroyed. Leo says that he will take on this task as he knows a spell that will allow him to mimic her wavelength and restore the mana. He says he will take only 30 minutes, and she will be so impressed that she will want to kiss him. He disguises himself in armor and heads off. Elsewhere, we see that the Demon Queen expresses a concern for the overworked Shetina as she asks the other generals to report back if they notice odd behavior from her. Back at the office, we see that Leo has returned and requests that Shetina allow him to observe her with the spell as he rests. She continues to work as Leo eats without moving from the couch and contemplates what his fake name should be. Shetina has finally had enough of his laziness and has come to the conclusion he will not be of any use to the army. Just as she is about to attack, a girl comes into the room. Leo explains that the girl's name is Dianette and tells her to call him Black Knight Onyx. Leo then begins to explain what he had done during those 30 minutes. The first 15 were dedicated to infusing a stone with mana tuned to Shetina's wavelength, and then having the stone turned into a talisman. The next 5 minutes were used up by a small distraction. The last 10 were used to find Dianette and to teach her how to use the talisman to replenish the mana and the reactors. Leo will create more talisman and Dianette will teach others how to do the task, thus relieving Shetina of the task completely. It turns out that Dianette had always wanted to help Shetina and was too nervous to ask, but jumped at the chance when offered by Leo. He explains to Shetina the importance of delegating her work, which he is grateful for, but then remembers that he had actually been slacking for most of the day. Leo explains that what he was really doing was observing her work with his spell, and came up with a plan on how to relieve even more of her workload. She is shocked at how much he was able to accomplish and apologizes for how she had treated him during the interview. She is impressed with his work, and as he leaves, Leo remembers how that would mean he deserved the kiss. He lets her choose between a kiss on the lips or the cheek, but she chooses to hit him with this. Leo would later be praised by Shetina, but not for long, as she shows him an order directly from the Demon Queen that requires Black Knight Onyx to report to her immediately. Leo was shocked as he feared that the Demon Queen may have found out their secret. However, this video ends here. Thanks for watching this part. If this video gets 200 likes, I'll know you guys want me to continue this series and soon upload the next part. The link to the video will be in the description and pinned down in a comment in the comments section. See you later.